Okay, it's day 3 and I've run out of Fox sweatshirts to wear. Seriously, this thing has taken a lot longer to strip down than I thought it would because a lot of stuff is not going well. Just a lot of stuff is seized, which is crazy because I stay up on greasing and lubing and washing and maintaining my stuff. I think it's because primarily where I ride, this quad is down in southeastern Ohio where there's a lot of former coal mines and strip mines, and I think there's a lot of creek crossings that we go through in particular, and I think there's a lot of acid mine drainage or acid runoff. If you look at the rocks in these creeks, they're always like bright orange red, and it's not just like calcium in the ground or from runoff. I think that there's some acid mine drainage from years and years and years of coal country and other mining operations. But anyhow, I think, this is my wild guess, it's contributing to some additional oxidation and just rust and corrosion development on bolts, especially this, the chassis stuff that gets submerged, like the rear axle, which was the big problem I had first. So anyway, it's day 3, Sunday. I got to try and get this knocked down and out so that I can get vehicles back in the garage, because it's a cold, crummy Ohio winter still, and don't like having the hauler and the wife's vehicle sitting outside. So here we go. Let's see if we can get this done today. All right, so quick update, just mostly for my benefit here. Kind of the way this came apart, I couldn't really finish the wiring harness pieces back here, which are still mostly attached because I've got a couple pieces up front, until I got the carb out of the way so I could get to all these internals. So wiring harness is probably going to be one of the first things I'm going to have to run, because of the way that it wraps tight around the frame. It's mostly off now, but got a lot of complicated pieces here. Next I got to drain the coolant so that I can disconnect the sensors, the fan sensor and the temp sensor for the coolant. And those, I think, are the last pieces of the wiring harness. Then I can actually get it off the frame, and then it'll be the oil and the motor, I think. Last thing I'll have to do is probably the Nerf bars and the skid plate, honestly, and then the stem. Okay, so quick update. This seemed like an appropriate step to record because I'm taking out the very last piece of the frame before it's completely a bare frame. And then I can get it all cleaned up and taken down to the powder coater and get it sandblasted. But I wanted to record this because it's a good illustration of having the right tool for the right job. And the last piece I'm taking out here is the steering stem bearing, and there's this retaining nut that threads in. And if you've ever looked at this, it's basically like a reverse bolt head or nut. So in order to get it out, I bought this like $20 tool. I don't know, it might have been on Amazon or Rocky Mountain. And so it fits into the retaining nut. And then you just put a 30mm socket on it. And I broke it loose with the breaker bar before I busted out the big 1/2-inch ratchet, and that's it. Now I will say I bought these gear wrench flex head ratchets on sale. They were a good price. I think it was either Toolbox Tours or Tony the Technician recommended these because they were a good price at the time, but I wish they were the locking flex head, because while I was doing this, the head detents are good, but it still moves around, and I might be able to tighten it up here. But in any event, it was nice to have a big 1/2-inch breaker bar, the icon over there on the gear wrench,
ratchet to get that sucker out. Last thing actually will be the bearing, which doesn't feel too bad, but since we're powder coating and I've got a new one, it's getting replaced anyway. So technically not quite the very last step. I've got to pound the bearing out, but that's pretty much it. So I'll just thought I'd do a quick update, and then hopefully we'll start recording again when I'm reassembling.